In just 3 weeks on the job, Adnan Virk has gone totally off the rails. So you know what that means. Looks like we're gonna need a bigger boat!
Wow! You're in the mix with Pro Wrestling Bits!
Adnan Virk was thrown into the deep end with no flotation device as a rookie WWE commentator with no prior experience who suddenly has to call WWE's flagship show on Raw. The former ESPN and MLB broadcaster hasn't even been an announcer for 3 weeks, and he's already been made to deal with the shark-infested waters of Twitter. Adnan Virk has got to get off commentary, man. This dude is terribly bad, read one tweet. Tom Phillips, greater than Adnan Virk, read another. Okay, you get it. Twitter is mad about something as always. In fact, some are already making the comparison between Adnan Virk and the infamous Mike Adamle, which is the one comparison he had to avoid no matter how bad this inevitably got. WWE has such a reverence for people from the quote-unquote real sports world. It's like they think their scripted sport will be more embraced by the mainstream if word gets out that the Adnan Virks of the world are broadcasting for it. Unfortunately, Virk is ill-equipped to do this job at this point, and that's what stands out. It turns out nobody cares about how long you were with ESPN when you barely even know what a suplex is. Virk's flaws are impossible to hide over the course of 1 hour of Raw, let alone 3. Virk's on-the-job training is made even worse because you can hear him being lectured about his many flaws in real time. Vince McMahon, Corey Graves, constantly berates Virk for everything from incorrectly calling a move to bringing up TikTok during a wrestling match, which of course is going to piss off a clueless 75-year-old, to confusing a boat with a train as he did while getting fake excited for Braun Strowman. WWE got lucky with Pat McAfee over on SmackDown, another hire from the mainstream sports world, but McAfee is an actual fan of pro wrestling who has proven his ability to not only talk, but wrestle as he put forth one of the strongest celebrity wrestling debuts in history down in NXT. Still, McAfee is a color commentator who doesn't carry nearly the responsibility of a lead announcer who has arguably the most important job of the entire promotion. How important is this lead announcer job, you ask? Vince McMahon himself was Raw's lead announcer for long stretches in the 90s because he knew damn well how important it was to get over all the key storylines and talking points that viewers need to be invested in WWE. So why then would the ultimate control freak hire a complete novice to do one of the most important jobs in the entire company? Seriously, what happened to Vince McMahon? Vince used to plan WrestleMania a year in advance. Now he changes the show the day of. Vince used to ask his writers, where is this going? Now that answer changes as quickly as he can tear up a script. Vince used to know exactly how to book monsters, yet WrestleMania 37's 2 worst storylines involved monsters. And Vince used to take pride in his lead announcers. Now they're stuck with Adnan Virk. If ever Titan Towers needed an intervention, it was probably like 5 years ago, but there's no time like the present because WWE continues to suffer from a myriad of Vince McMahon problems, like Vince McMahon being too old to do this job, or Vince McMahon losing sight of how to book pro wrestling in 2021, or his short-sightedness when it comes to building angles and telling stories, etc., etc. But because Vince wields so much power, WWE has had to get more and more creative in working around its Vince McMahon problem. WWE continues to blame just about everybody and everything but the 75-year-old chairman himself. Because don't get it twisted, this isn't so much an Adnan Virk problem as it is a Vince McMahon problem and an indictment of just how bad things have gotten at the top. We're in the senile era of WWE where the 75-year-old chairman just doesn't have it anymore when it comes to the basic principles of booking a national wrestling promotion, and honestly, this has been the case for years. WWE has tried one stopgap after another in an attempt to man its sinking ship, from Raw Underground to eliminating leg slaps to firing middle-aged executives as scapegoats, and even going back to John Laurinaitis as head of talent relations. And now suddenly it's the announce team that needs to be shaken up. Vince McMahon will tinker and toil with this product to its detriment as long as he has the power to do so. For all we know, this could go on for another 5, 10, or even 15 years, if not longer. This random Adnan Virk hire was always destined to fail. I don't care how good a broadcaster you are, becoming the lead announcer for Raw is simply not something you can learn on the fly in this company without being made a fool of. And until WWE is willing and able to make a real change at the top of its broken administration, any attempt to try to fix this train wreck is doomed to sink underwater.